The trial is underway in the landmark social media case against Meta for allegedly designing its platforms to be addictive and harmful to children. Now, in opening statements, Meta's lawyer acknowledged that some people face struggles from using social media, but said this did not rise to the level of addiction. Now, the federal trial in Oakland, California could have major consequences for Meta. A group of 29 states is seeking billions of dollars and potential changes to how Meta's platforms like Facebook and Instagram operate. Now, outside the courthouse, parents unfurled a banner with the names of children whose they say died because of Meta. Lori Schott read from her daughter's journal and accused Meta of targeting vulnerable children for profit.
I look at other girls' profiles and it makes me feel worse. Nobody will love somebody as ugly and as broken as me. And we continue to learn about Annalee's social media experience and how devastating it was. We learned that according to Meta whistleblower Sarah Wynn Williams, Meta targeted ads at teenage girls when they showed signs of being in a vulnerable emotional state and when they felt worthless, insecure, or like a failure. Advertisers were allegedly giving access to our children so beauty ads could be delivered at the very moments these girls were at their most vulnerable.
Let's bring in New York Times technology reporter Mike Isaac, who is monitoring the opening statements. Mike, those words very powerful from that grieving mother. Many believe this trial is on par with the case against Big Tobacco. What stood out to you in court today?
Yeah, I mean, exactly what you're saying. One of the main lines of argument from the prosecutor's side is basically saying this is tantamount to the Big Tobacco addiction cases of so many years ago, and kind of just like sort of saying part of the way products are billed at Meta and Facebook historically is to go after as young of users as possible in order to quote, get them while they're young, basically, is how some of the internal messaging has been, and then to keep them on the platforms and products as long as possible. And so the analogy is obviously something Meta is very wary about and something they push back against, but that's exactly how the plaintiffs are framing it.
Now, Meta's being sued for, I believe, $1.4 trillion in penalties. That's close to the company's total valuation. So if they lose, will social media as we know it now completely change? I mean, what's at stake here?
I mean, this is exactly what you're saying. Like, it's entirely, a huge chunk of the company's market cap. I think besides financial penalties, just the bigger issue would be how these products actually operate and how, you would be able to use or not use Facebook or Instagram. I think in other countries outside of the United States, there are already strict limits on ages of people who are even allowed to use social media at this point. Australia being up in front. There's some considerations in the European Union right now as to what age guidelines should be. And so Meta is already kind of trying to figure out how to tackle when people should be allowed to use social media, or at least how they can, do it responsibly within the bounds of where regulation is going. But it could entirely reshape things in the United States if some of these cases continue to go against Meta like some of the early ones have been.
It's pretty ironic, though, that while this trial over child safety on social media begins, OpenAI is introducing ChatGPT for teens. Now, remember, this company is also facing lawsuits alleging that conversations on ChatGPT either harmed or led to the deaths of young people. So what did you make of this move by ChatGPT, by OpenAI, and what sort of protections will ChatGPT for teens have?
Yeah, so I would argue that the timing is not coincidental. I suspect that the company is trying to position itself as a responsible steward of teens compared to Meta that's at trial today for being irresponsible. It's one of those things where these companies have all kind of pioneered or tried doing a version of for kids or for teens. Before Meta ended up in court, they created Facebook Messenger for kids. They've thought about Instagram for kids. YouTube has a kid-friendly version. And I think a lot of these companies are trying to straddle this line of, well, we want young people to use our products, but also not essentially harm themselves or bring liability on the companies. So how do we do that? I still don't know if there's a really good or strong or ever going to be a foolproof way of protecting kids against some of these products, at least on a grand scale, but you're going to continue seeing these versions of it.
Mike Isaac, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.